Welcome to Walks in Time, a podcast designed to help put you in the shoes of someone else at a different point in history. In this episode, you'll put yourself in the shoes of someone who had both her feet firmly planted on the ground while her brothers were out dazzling the world from the sky. Katharine Wright, sister of Wright Brothers Wilbur and Orville, was the steady, brilliant force that enabled her brothers to succeed in aviation while she took care of things on the ground. In this episode, you'll step into Katharine's shoes on the 7th of March 1909 as she travels abroad to support her brothers. Katharine has left behind her teaching job in Oberlin, Ohio, to take a week-long journey by sea to France at the time her brothers were becoming international heroes. Please join me to consider what a day in Katharine's shoes could have been like. Before you even open your eyes, you're aware that something is different aboard the ocean liner that has been your home for the last week or so. The calls of seagulls, only barely audible above the slowing thrum of the engines, the clanking of anchor chains and hissing steam, tell you that you're no longer on open sea, but you've entered a harbour. You recall the conversations you had last night with excited passengers who would be disembarking early this morning at Plymouth. This means you have now made your first trip across the Atlantic. You sit up slightly and let your hand find the string for the electric light. Blinking to allow your eyes to adjust, you look around your compact little cabin for your floral wrapper to throw over your shoulders and for your French phrase book, French textbook from your college days, and your notebook. Today is the day when you'll test your vocabulary on real French people. You go over and over words and phrases. It's not easy to focus with so many things going on outside your cabin, the sound of luggage rolling along the promenades, porters knocking on cabin doors, crew shouting orders, and passengers calling out to family members. After revising and memorising as much as you can, and mentally preparing yourself for the day, you let your woolen sock-covered feet find the floor and step out of your bed for the last time on this voyage. You're feeling excited about being reunited with your brothers Will and Orv and taking on a role to support their ventures, but you also know that once you step off this boat, the French press will be waiting eagerly to meet this sister of the two famous aviation celebrities, the Wright brothers. You take your time dressing for breakfast. No point rushing at the moment. You start with your undergarments, which include a lightly boned corset and corset cover. Then button up your white linen blouse, tucking it into your navy woolen skirt. You put on your low-heeled walking shoes and pin your hair back simply. No need to fuss over it too much at the moment. There'll be time for that later. It's cold and wet outside your cabin, so you put on a short coat for warmth. You head to the dining room for a leisurely breakfast. After a little reading, you head back to your cabin to pack and dress for leaving the ship. You will wear a tailored, dark-coloured walking suit. You change into a cream-coloured blouse, a long gored woolen skirt with its panels that are narrow at the waist but flare out towards the hem, which just brushes your ankles. Your fitted jacket features the lapels and cinched waist that have recently become fashionable. You brush and style your hair into a neat, upswept, low bun. This will provide a stable anchor for your hat pins. Can't have your hat flying off into the ocean. Lastly, you put on your long tweed coat to shelter you against the cold, wet and windy weather. You wonder what your school students would think of you if they saw you now. At midday, the time has come for you to disembark near Cherbourg. the French port of entry for continental passengers. The harbour is now coming into view, and the lowing of the engine's vibrations, seagulls calling, and fever-pitch pace of stewards is now making it feel real. Your luggage, including your hard-sided flat-topped brown steamer trunks with your initials stencilled on one side, leather travelling bag and hat box, have been checked in with a steward, and you're told these will be waiting for you at customs. But first you'll need to get to land, and as Cherbourg does not have deep water piers long enough to accommodate it, you have to step down into a tender, a small, low ferry to take you ashore. 2 stewards help you step into the rocking tender, and another steadies you as you find your footing. There's a small enclosed cabin for shelter, much needed in today's damp and windy weather, but it means you're in very close quarters with other passengers for the 15-minute ride. As you near the stone quay, you see the low grey buildings and port officials. You're surprised to see a crowd of journalists and photographers. Who are they here for? Is it all for you? Surely they can't be that interested in the sister of the famous Wright Brothers. Apart from all the passengers, you're alone coming off the ship, and you know that no friendly, familiar face will be at the quay waiting for you. Wilbur is in Pau, demonstrating aircraft flights, around 8.5 hours away by train ride. You'll meet Orville, who is still recovering strength after his accident, in Paris. You're taking deep breaths now, preparing yourself for what you might encounter when you step off ashore. As soon as you step off the tender, you'll be on show, and the job you're here for will commence. And what is that job? You haven't been given an exact title, but Orv and Will have described what they need from you is talking with people properly, helping with the social side of their business engagements, straightening things out, and making sure they're properly dressed. As their sister, you understand exactly what they mean by all this and why they need it. They're very clever with their hands and engineering minds, but they are bothered by everything else running a business involves. You're not sure what remuneration a public relations manager, secretary and style advisor usually attracts, but you've put your stable job as a school teacher, and with it, your independent income, on ice to do this. This is no small thing for an educated woman such as yourself. You and your brothers have an understanding, and you know you'll always be provided for. You want to be useful and the support your brothers need. You know you can do this, but you also feel the tension of becoming dependent on them. You make your final adjustments. With hat securely pinned, coat straight and smile affixed, you step onto the gangway. The foreign passengers are led cattle-like to customs, but you're already hearing the French reporters trying to catch your attention. Mademoiselle Wright! Excuse-moi, Mademoiselle Wright! You play your role and answer questions politely about your trip. How you feel about France, how your brothers are going, and where you're off to next. You've anticipated these questions, so you're able to answer in French, which impresses the crowd, who are not disappointed by the Wright sister they had lined up to see. After posing for a couple of photos, you rejoin your cattle-like line of fellow passengers and head towards customs. As a first-class passenger, you're afforded a quick process, with only a cursory glance at your luggage and passport. Soon enough you're shown the way to the Gare Maritime, the station built directly on the quay, pass through the tall doors onto the long high-roofed hall and onto the train to Paris. With your luggage stowed, you settle into the window seat of your compartment and, again, you're alone. You're also feeling warm and cosy after a week at sea. The smell of polished wood mingled with coal smoke outside takes a little getting used to, but you make yourself comfortable in the upholstered seat and gather your thoughts while your fellow passengers clang and bustle into the compartments around you. With a jolt and a long exhale of steam, the train eventually starts to move. The grey harbour will soon be but a memory, so you take in all you can. The variety of boats and their masts, the gulls, and your last glimpses of the Channel giving way to portside storerooms, homes, and very soon the Normandy countryside, with rows of hedges that have weathered the cool of winter, large fields dotted with cows, bare orchards, and a scattering of stone farmhouses. Punctuating each town you pass is a church spire. The landscapes change before your eyes on this 6-hour journey, with low marshy areas, dark forests, the occasional grand manor house, swollen rivers flowing beneath stone bridges, meadows, and hills. You're struck by the sharp contrasts with your home in Ohio, the old Gothic buildings and structures, including medieval churches, Norman farmhouses, the neatness of the hedges and patchwork fields. Despite these contrasts, you're comforted by the warmth and coziness of the compartment, the rhythm of the train and anticipation for seeing and supporting your brothers. After a nap, you get up and go to the dining car for lunch and find a table. It's important that you eat to keep your energy up, and you're looking forward to seeing what French food is like. There's a dignified amount of space afforded to you here on the train as a first-class passenger. You're used to the loud openness of American trains, so at least being in the dining car amongst people feels a little more familiar. And it's an opportunity to hear accents, practice your etiquette and language, and ask questions about France. You carefully spoon your consommé so as to avoid spilling onto your clothes. You follow this with some cold meats, bread, butter and cheese, and take your time over a cup of hot coffee before heading back to your compartment. If the interest of the press at the quay is anything to go by, you'll be in the public eye once in Paris. There's an enduring fascination with your brothers and their flying inventions. They seem to have done the impossible, broken the law of gravity and put humans in the air. What will this mean for people now and into the future? The excitement of possibility has captivated Europeans in a way it hadn't even seemed to register back home. Here they seem to know it's not just a machine that flies. It's a wealth of opportunities, business, travel, diplomacy. It's the future taking shape. It's wonder and genius all at once. You're excited to be a part of your brothers finally getting the recognition they should for their advancements. But you still have grave concerns for their safety. You revise your French again and spend some time reading, noticing from time to time the rivers and changing landscapes, and a sense of building density, more homes, less space. A steward brings tea and a small cake, and you engage in polite conversation, but truly you're interested in learning all you can about the people and places here in France, and want to ask more questions. But you restrain yourself from asking too many. You've heard Europeans often consider Americans a bit too interested and curious. The density has continued to build, with lonely stone homes giving way to suburbs and eventually rows of apartment blocks. The wide open sky is also closing in on you, with taller, closely placed buildings only providing glimpses of the overcast sky. Your long, lonely journey to see your brothers is soon coming to an end. The train whoops, whistles and clanks as it shifts to its lower gears and edges into a large iron and glass train shed. The smell of coal smoke fills the air. You've arrived in Paris. You step towards the platform and are met by a porter and reunited with your luggage. You have made it. Now to find a way to the hotel to meet your beloved but injured brother Orville. You're tired, but still taking everything in, including the French voices, styles, and trying to read the signs, which are, of course, all in French. Stepping out of the station, the unmistakable smell of horses is the first thing to reach your nose. Rows of horse-drawn cabs are waiting to take people to their destinations. You've been spotted by a cab driver who tips his hat and raises his eyebrows with a silent question. You answer with, Hotel du Louvre, s'il vous plaît. He helps you into the cab with your luggage and you head off down the elegant boulevards, taking in the cream stone buildings with wrought iron balconies, grand department stores, hotels, cafes with customers spilling out onto the pavements, newsstands and flower stalls. You think it's breathtaking. You're not in Ohio anymore. You remember to straighten your posture and your skirt. You're now somewhat on show. Arriving at the Louvre, you pay and thank the driver, who helps you bring your luggage onto the pale, polished marble floor of the hotel foyer. You look up and are struck by the quiet theatre of the grand entrance, the high coffered ceiling supported by ornate columns, dark wood panelling along the walls, tall windows framed by heavy red and gold curtains, the wide, sweeping central staircase. Looking around the room, you notice the velvet lounge chairs and men obscured behind large newspapers. As one of the newspapers lowers, you feel a smile growing on your face as you recognise Orville's distinctive hairline and ears. Since his accident, he's clearly lost a lot of weight and his hair is thinner, but yes, this is Orv. You restrain your urge to run over and instead wait to see if he'll recognise you in your hat, lounge suit and coat. These are not what he's used to seeing you in. He does a double take, but it's probably your smile that makes him recognise he's Katie. Orville painfully rises to his feet, placing most of the weight on the leg he hadn't broken, then steadying himself. You can restrain yourself no longer and are at his side in a heartbeat, temple pressed against his cheek and arms thrown around each other. It's a relief to see him, but sorrow to see his pain. You ask a porter to put your luggage in your hotel room. Meanwhile, you accompany Orville up to his room, watching him grasping the banister and listening to his breathing as you go. You don't want to wear him out with talking while he's climbing the stairs, so you lead the conversation, describing your journey across the sea and then the train ride today. Although you're tired, you and Orville have much to catch up on, so you spend the next hour or so talking before setting up your things in your hotel room, getting changed and meeting for dinner. You've corresponded regularly in letters, but there's nothing like being together, having a conversation and hearing each other's voices. You talk about Orville's injuries and the cause of the crash and the sad loss of the young lieutenant who died in the crash. You talk of the healing process and how you can support Orville to recover. You also talk about family back home and, of course, Wilbur, not far away, and when you'll see him. And you talk about the days and weeks ahead and what might come of them. The hotel dining room, with its chandeliers and soft furnishings, gives an elegant backdrop as you continue your conversations in a more hushed tone, conscious that you're in the public eye. You're already stepping into your role here by taking care of Orville and translating for him. You describe in English the items on the menu that you think Orville will be interested in. Neither of you blinks when you go ahead and order on his behalf in French. Orville takes a light soup, followed by poached fish, vegetables and bread. For yourself, you order a chicken stew with beans and a coffee. It's been a long day and you're grateful for a hearty meal. Heading back to Orville's room, having seen him eat and heard his reassurances, you're feeling more confident in his recovery. You spend some more time chatting. Orville is conscious that you are tired, and you are conscious of Orville's health. After you've made your plans for tomorrow, you head to your modest but comfortable room. You should write letters to your father and brothers, but you've given all your remaining energy to speaking with Orville. So instead you unpin your hair and brush it out. Feel your ribs expand as you loosen your corset and step into your long white cotton nightgown, which you had carefully packed away this morning, along with your woolen socks. You climb into the crisp white linens of your bed, pushing the square European pillow up against the carved wooden headboard and pulling the heavy woolen blanket up high to keep yourself warm. It's been a long day, but you're relieved to have made it safely to Paris, to have seen your brother, and you're already feeling a sense of purpose and value for your visit. Thank you for listening to this episode of Walks in Time. I hope you've enjoyed experiencing what it may have been like to put yourself in the shoes of Katharine Wright, the Wright sister. Please join me for another episode soon. Bye for now.